Hey all, it's Leatherland here from Pegasus Property. I'm just doing a quick instructional video on how to use this buy-to-let deal stacker. So this spreadsheet is made more specifically for buy-to-lets. I've got other spreadsheets on things like HMO stacking, new builds and flips as well. So hope you enjoy this video. The spreadsheets are quite straightforward, however, if you are having issues then hopefully this video will explain everything. And also, if you are quite au fait with using spreadsheets, then you might just get a few things from this video as well, because I will explain a few other bits and bobs to do with property development and stacking during this video. So I hope you enjoy. So let's get straight into it. So starting off, we have the purchase price. So purchase price of the property goes there. And then these are all of your professional fees down here. So you've got sourcing, conveyancing, so that's your solicitor. You've got a broker fee, mortgage application fee, searches, which is part of your conveyancing process. And then you've got your stamp duty at the bottom. So stamp duty, I just go to the stamp duty calculator.org.uk, which is here. So you just put in whether it's a single property or a additional property. So this is additional, so calculate £3,000 stamp, job done. Now I skipped this little bridging bit here just because you might be buying this property with a bridging loan, or you might not be buying it with a bridging loan. It's one of them. Everyone gets different lending, so it's quite complicated just to do like a generic lending amount. So I've just put 6-month bridging finance, 10%. So let's assume that you're paying 10% over a 6-month period on the money that's been borrowed. If you were to borrow 70% of the purchase price, that would be £70,000. 10% over a 6-month period of 70,000 will be 7,000. So you just put 7,000 in there, or whatever it may be. So that's for you to work out. So coming down here, we have conversion costs. So you might have to do a renovation on this property. So I've just put a load of costs in here, adds up to 15k. Project management, 10%. So you might be paying a contractor to do this for you, or a project manager. Companies like mine do project management for of clients basically that want to do property development. So we charge 10%, so that goes in there. So that's your total cost, essentially, upfront costs to do this project, £123,000. That's added all of that up and put it into there. However, if you're using lending, if you come over to the initial purchase capital required, which is in the top right corner, this allows you to put in the percentage of money that you're effectively putting in as a deposit. So 25% would be 25 grand of the purchase price. Professional fees, so that's added all of these bits up for you and put it into there. Building costs, so all your building costs and your project management added up into there. Lending or bridging upfront costs. So if you were using a bridging loan, you might have to pay a entry fee or an application fee. Same if you're using a mortgage, well, you might have some sort of upfront costs or whatever associated. So this is working out your initial purchase capital required. So this is kind of all the upfront money that you need to be able to do this project. So in this case, it would be £48,750. So that's the refinance model. I'll come on to that in a minute. Just coming down here, so because this is buy to let, this is assuming that you want to do it up and you want to rent it out, or it's already in good condition, you're just going to buy it and rent it straight out. So you want to work out what your ROIs, your yields, etc. are going to be. So if you are buying something and doing it up and selling it on, that's called flipping, and I have got another spreadsheet just for that. So if you're using this one for flip, probably best not bothering. I'd use the other spreadsheet if I was you, because it'd be a lot easier. So essentially you just put in your rental amount, so £700 in this case. Use local comparables, which are realistic. You take away a void amount, so 5% is what I use. A lot of people use 10% of the rental income as a void calculator. To be honest with you, the market's very hot right now. So void rates are way down. So I use 5% as like a drastic measure really, because most people don't have any voids on buy-to-lets, and if you do, there's something wrong, I think. Anyway, so that's working out your gross rental income there basically per month. If you have a buy-to-let mortgage on this, then you can just put all this in: 75% loan to value, 4% interest rate. You probably be like 2% on a buy-to-let really. But anyway, that's just for you to stick in there. Works out your monthly interest payment in red. Next, you've got other outgoings, so things like insurance. Stick that in there. You might have boiler insurance, rent protection, contents in buildings. That all goes in there. Building maintenance fund. So this is quite a healthy thing to do, really. Just take a percentage of the rental income, just to stick to one side for any repairs. A lot of people use 10%, for example. So that goes in there. So that's added up all your monthly bills. And then you have management, so 12% including VAT. You might be paying 10%. Some people are paying like 5%, things like that. So you just stick that in there. So anyway, that gets your total monthly expenditure. So your bills and your management fees added up. So this bit here, so that subtracts those overheads from your gross rental income to give you your net monthly income times 12. So that's that bit per annum. And then your ROI. So your ROI is your return on investment. So essentially it's working out how much money you're making per year and how much money you've had to put into the property in order to make this. So if you were using a buy-to-let mortgage, of course you've only got 25% of your money actually in this property. The other 75% is borrowed money. So if you're making £5,000 a year profit on whatever it is you've tied up in this deal, it's not too bad. And then it works out your gross yield and your net yield as well. A lot of people are quite they focus a lot on yields, and I don't so much myself. To me, the ROI is kind of the most relevant thing. But anyway, that's your payback time, so number of months to pay it back, and then the debt coverage ratio. So a lot of banks use the debt coverage ratio now to work out whether whether it's something they want to lend on effectively. So that's quite cool if you can find out the specific lender that you're looking at using, find out what their debt coverage ratio is. So I said I'd come up to the refinance model in a bit. So here we are now, refinancing. So most property investors want to buy property and they want to refinance it to pull their cash back out. Effectively, if you find a deal that is basically a good deal that you're getting a lot cheaper than it's potentially worth, and then you can carry out some renovation works to create an uplift on that property, that increase in capital, that increase in equity in the property can be released by refinancing. So this particular property refinanced at £140,000. So you carry out, basically you get a new mortgage on the property now. So you can go up to 85% loan to value with buy-to-lets. I wouldn't really advise it, because although it could be tempting to pull your money out and buy more property, in 2007 and 2008, people were able to get 100 to 110% mortgages. That meant that you could just expand your portfolio very quickly. However, as we're finding these days, there's lots of landlords coming to us with portfolios of 30 to 40 properties, and they're trying to sell them because they've made no money on them for the past 10 years, because the interest rates went way up and the house prices went down, because when they bought them they were at the height of the market, and because they were up to 100 to 110% borrowed against them, they've got no equity in the properties. They're worth less than what they paid for them, meaning if they try and sell them, they owe the bank money, which they can't afford to do. And effectively, because their mortgage payments are so high, they're making no money on these properties. And we call them zombie landlords. So they're landlords that are basically managing large portfolios but making no profit on them whatsoever. And there's lots of them around. So you don't want to be one of them. You don't want to be managing portfolio of properties for 10 years for no profit. So I would advise not going above 75% loan to value if you can help it. So moving on, so it gives you the capital left in the deal. So it kind of works out how much equity you would release from the deal and how much of your equity you would keep tied up in the deal. So you'd have a new mortgage on it now. So you put the interest rate in there. It calculates what your new interest rate will, your new interest payments will be per month, and then it subtracts that off your gross rental income, obviously minusing all the bills down here as well to give you your new cash flow. So, and that's your cash flow per annum. So you can see from here, your cash flow would go from 420 to 320. So you're effectively paying £100 a month extra on your interest payments, but you've just created 30 grand out of thin air, sort of thing. So that's kind of the way people look at it. That's quite a cheap loan, really. £100 a month for 30 grand is a very cheap loan. However, you are paying this money over 20, 25, 30 years, which means actually you pay back double to triple the amount you borrowed. But you don't really look at it that way, because a lot of people don't look 30 years ahead. They only look 5 years ahead or 10 years ahead. So property is all about the long game. So in this instance, your ROI is now 20.90%. So you'd make all your money back in 5 years, all your profit, all your cash out in 5 years. And that's your new yield. Obviously, these yields are very low, but this is just a bit of an example one, really. A lot of these numbers I've just made up. So payback time, and then your new debt covered ratio. So that's the end of that video. I hope that was helpful. Please subscribe to our website, subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook. Thank you very much. Bye bye.